but you have to know what the story is. You have to know where the story is supposed to go. You have to know where it's supposed to start, where it's supposed to end. And unless you are actually a master storyteller or very good at improv, all the pieces in the middle exactly as they should be.
Welcome to Mastering Your Message. We believe that you have a message and that people need to hear it. So if you want help getting that message crafted, getting that message battle tested, and getting that message out there, we can help you get it all together. Visit the website masteringyourmessage.net. Give us the info we need, and we'll set you up with classes and coaching to help you get that message mastered. My name is Jay Cooper-Hain, and I want to thank you for joining us for the podcast today. Today we kick off our journey in mastering the message and helping you master your message by talking about the basic part of the message, and that is, what is the message? Do you have a message to give as we portray it as a story? Now, why do we portray it as a story? Because that's the real way that you are telling the message, real way you are conveying what you have to say, getting the message across in the form of relaying information, and that's done best by telling a story. Now, it's not always a once upon a time type story, but it is telling a story, telling bits and pieces of information from part A to part B to part C to eventually get to the end. So while some stories are told out of order for creative purposes, you're probably not going to do that very often, and especially not in the master point of getting your story told. You're going to tell a linear story from start to finish in all times. Now, the basic part of a story may start off with, this is who I am, and let's go back to how I got to be here. And once you get back to that point, you move forward. But it's still a linear story. You're just not trying to hide out bits and pieces of things. You're still telling a full story of what's going on. Now, you can't tell a story until you have words to say or words to write, words to mime, however you want to get it through, until you have a story to go. Now, crafting the story is a whole other animal. Getting that story written down and tested and worked out so that it actually is coherent, it actually is listenable, readable, talkable, tellable. Those things take time. Today, we just have to work off the basis of, do you have a story? The answer to that question is always yes, or at least usually yes. The point is, do you have a story that's worth telling to people, telling to the world, telling things out there? Now, that's a different question I could ask to my 5-year-old, who always has something to say and always has a story. Whether it's actually relevant to the real world is normally a no. But because she's 5 and everything revolves around her, the fact the world is her, it's an important piece of information. So anytime she has to relay a story to me, whether it's a literal story she's making up as she's going along, or if it's something that happened at school today, I have to listen, and have to listen intently, because she's not quite the master at storytelling yet. Although she's very good at getting the words out and telling the bits and pieces and showing the emotions, she doesn't know it's a performance and things have to go in certain order, certain way. For you, you have the one up as you've been around long enough to know that stories really need to have some depth, really need to have some focus, really need to have something to really pull you into it, and should come up at some sort of logical point at the end, not just be bits and pieces of information floating around. So once you determine that you have a story, which you do, and once you determine that that story needs to be heard, which it should, and once you have an idea of who you're going to tell it to, which may be the harder part, then you can start working on how to get the story out, how to make the message work. Now, pick whatever it is you decide you need to tell the world, whatever story that must be presented. It can be something as simple as a personal story. It could be something as simple as, there are cupcakes in the break room, because you have to convey that message. And sometimes saying, hey, there are cupcakes in the break room, although that's pretty powerful, doesn't convey the overarching message. As in, hey, the people from this fine organization came by and talked to the people here in the office, and they wanted to thank us for the time, so they brought cupcakes to the break room. There's a bigger story. Cupcakes to the break room usually bring people to the break room, but they don't get the full context of why there are cupcakes in the break room. But as I said, it just takes cupcakes in the break room to maybe the complete story. Maybe you just baked cupcakes and you left them in the break room. Maybe that's it. However, it has to be done in a way that conveys the message and hopefully gets some sort of action or just reaction. Maybe you just want someone to be scared and teared up or excited and happy about something. Maybe you want them to actually stand up and move towards something, i.e. going to the break room to get some cupcakes. The story part is the key to the whole mastering your message. Because you may have a larger message that takes a few stories to tell. You may have a pretty simple message, which is just one story and one effective thing to get through. But you have to know what the story is. You have to know where the story is supposed to go. You have to know where it's supposed to start, where it's supposed to end. And unless you are actually a master storyteller or very good at improv, all the pieces in the middle exactly as they should be. Because it helps to assemble your story in the proper order, in the proper sense, for the proper frame of reference for people picking up on the story. Now that you believe you have a story, and the answer to that question we believe is always yes, how do you make that story become something that's worth telling? Well, we'll talk about that coming up in the next episode of this podcast. So thank you for being a part of this episode. Now that I have delivered my message today, check out the website masteringyourmessage.net. We're going to help you create, craft, and of course, master your message. There are free materials as well as paid courses and personal coaching services to choose from, but we can't help you get started on that journey to message perfection until you visit us at masteringyourmessage.net. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating or review, and share it with some friends who are also looking to master their messages.